morning, kindergarten. Happy Monday. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I really enjoyed our virtual field trip on Friday. Hopefully you guys saw some new animals, you learned something new. You guys did such a great job being really good listeners, and you asked some great questions. I loved that you brought some of your stuffies and you dressed for the field trip, so it was a lot of fun. So we're gonna do another one this Friday to the San Diego Zoo, and then we'll finish with Disneyland to celebrate our last week of school. So we're gonna go ahead and start this morning with a greeting. We're gonna do our heart greeting, so you can make a heart, someone in your family can make the other side of the heart, and you can say good morning. Let's take a look at our calendar. Yesterday was May 17th, which means today is May 18th. On Friday, it was our 163rd day of school, which means today is our 164th day of school. Nice job. All right. What day of the week was it yesterday? Yesterday was Sunday. If yesterday was Sunday, today is Monday. And if today is Monday, tomorrow will be Tuesday. Great job. All right. And we have two new sight words this week. Our first sight word is she, and we're gonna pretend that we're pointing to our friend that is a girl. She is my friend, she. So when we're using the word she, we are referring to a girl, she. All right. And our second sight word is run. So we're gonna make running motions. Run, let's run now. Run. So our two new sight words this week are she and run. Let's look at our morning message. Good morning, Kinder Crew. Today is Monday, May 18th, 2020. What did you do this weekend? So you can go ahead and post on Class Dojo if you want and share with your classmates something fun that you did over the weekend. Do these words rhyme? Let's take a look. All right, our first set of words, we have sit and pot. Sit, pot. Do those words rhyme? Nope, those words do not rhyme. They both would end with the t, but one is it and the other is ought. Those endings do not rhyme. Let's look at our next two words. Mop, stop. Mop, stop. Do mop and stop rhyme? Yes, they do. Awesome. All right, let's look at our next words. Rake, take. We have two magic E words. Rake, take. Do those words rhyme? Yes, they do. All right, let's look over here. We have share and like. Share and like. Do those words rhyme? Share, like. Nope, those words do not rhyme. All right, let's look at our next set of words. Ripe, type. Ripe, type. Do those words rhyme? Yes, they do. All right, and our last two words, you and be. You, be. You, be. Do those words rhyme? Nope, those words do not rhyme. Love, Mrs. Jones and Mrs. Whalen. And just to share what I did this weekend, I went kayaking. I went kayaking in the ocean, which was really fun. So that's something that I did this weekend. So feel free to post on our Class Dojo something fun that you did over the weekend. And we'll go ahead and get started with our lessons. For your math review page, for number 1, which block is below the C? So which letter block is below the C block? Which letter block is below the C block? And for number 2, which animal belongs in the group? Which animal here belongs in this group? Mathematicians, Today we are going to be talking about two more positional words, so words that tell us where something is. So we are going to be looking at the words left and right. So before we go ahead and get started and look at the board and we place some things on our board that are on the left and on the right, one easy way that you can tell which side is the left side and which side is the right side is to hold out your hands like this. So if you hold out your hands like this, and again, I'm going to turn this way so that you can see. If I hold my hands this way, this hand is making a correct capital L. When you make a capital L, it faces this direction. This is not an L, this is backwards. So you know which side, this side makes the correct L, so you know this is the left side, which means this is your right side. So if you're ever unsure, you can hold your hands out like this, and you can look at them and say, which hand makes an L? This hand is making the correct L, so this is the left side and this is the right side. So that's a little trick that you can use to remember which one is left and which one is right. You're looking for the correct formation of a capital L with your fingers. Remember, this one is backwards, so this is right, this is left, okay? So then looking here, we're gonna use our house and we're going to draw things that are to the left of our house and to the right of our house. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw an X to the left of the house. And if I'm looking at the house and I'm unsure, I can hold my hands up and I can say, which side is left? This side. So I'm going to draw the X on this side of the house. That is the left side of the house. What about if I wanted to draw a circle on the right side of the house? If I want to draw a circle on the right side of the house, again, I can look here, and since this is left, I know this is right. Okay, so right now I have an X on the left side of my house, and I have a circle on the right side of my house. So that's what you're going to be doing today in math. You are going to be drawing X's either on the left or the right side of different objects, and you're also going to be identifying either the left or the right side. And remember, if you get stuck, you can always hold up your hands, find the correct L so you know that's the left side, and then you'll know that the opposite side is the right. For reading today, I want you guys to continue working on your reading skills this week. I'm going to be meeting with each of you and reading a book with you. And so what I want you to do this week is I just want you to focus on reading books that are within your just right reading level range. So whatever you left off on, you probably grew since then. So you can read some books where you were when we left school, some books that are in higher ranges, and even some that are a little bit lower to just really beef up your skills. So this week, for the whole week for reading, we're going to be focusing on just reading our books that are in our just right reading level, maybe a little bit above to challenge ourselves. And then we're going to be retelling one of those books. So what I want you to do for reading today, you're going to read 15 to 20 minutes with books that are in your just right reading level. So that should maybe be around 2 or 3 books, maybe more, that'll take you that amount of time to practice all of our reading skills. And then I want you to choose one book and you're going to retell what happened in that story. So you can either write it down or you can just record yourself with the name of the story and then retell it. So for example, if I were going to retell the story The Day the Crayons Quit, I could read the book and then I would either record myself saying or writing that this story is about a child's crayons who are sick of the way that they're being treated. So they want to be used for other drawings, for other pictures. A few of them are still happy, but it's mostly about crayons that are asking to be used for different things. So that's me retelling that story. So that's what you're going to do with just one of the books that you're reading. So read for 15 to 20 minutes, choose one book, and then I want you to retell what happened in that story. Writers, really exciting. We're going to be starting a new unit and we are going to be writing fiction or fairy tale stories in this unit. So we just finished writing our nonfiction books where we wrote facts to teach about something, and now we're going to be making up our own fiction stories that can be a certain kind of fiction, or they could be a fairy tale story, and we're going to talk about the different elements that we need to have when writing these type of stories. So to start, I thought that I would read to you a fiction fairy tale story, and then we're going to talk about the different parts of this story. So I'm going to read to you the story of Red Riding Hood, and some of you might have heard this story before. So let's go ahead and listen to this fiction fairy tale. A long time ago, in a simple cottage beside the deep dark woods, there lived a pretty child called Red Riding Hood. She was kind and considerate, and everybody loved her. One afternoon, Red Riding Hood's mother called to her. "Granny isn't feeling up to snuff today," she said, "so I've baked her favorite custard as a little surprise. Be a good girl and take it to her, will you?" Red Riding Hood was delighted. She loved going to Granny's, even though it meant crossing the deep, dark woods. When the custard had cooled, Red Riding Hood's mother wrapped it up and put it in a basket. "Now whatever you do," she said, "go straight to Granny's. Do not tarry. Do not speak to any strangers." "Yes, Mama," said Red Riding Hood. Before long, she was in the deepest part of the woods. "Oh," she said, "this is scary." Suddenly, a large wolf appeared. "Good afternoon, my dear," he said. "Care to stop for a little chat?" "Oh, gracious me," said Red Riding Hood. "Mama said not to speak to any strangers." But the wolf had such charming manners. "And where are you going, sweet thing?" he said. "I'm on my way to visit Granny, who lives in the pretty yellow house on the other side of the woods," said Red Riding Hood. "She's feeling poorly, and I'm taking her a surprise." "You don't say," said the wolf. Just then he had a delightful idea. "No reason why I can't eat them both," he thought. "Allow me to escort you," he said. "You never know what might be lurking about." "You are too kind," said Red Riding Hood. Beyond the forest, they came to a patch of sunflowers. "Why not pick a few?" suggested the wolf. "Grannies love flowers, you know." But while Red Riding Hood was picking a pretty bouquet, the clever wolf hurried on ahead to Granny's house. "Who is it?" called out Granny. "It is I, your delicious, darling granddaughter," said the wolf in a high voice. "The door is unlocked," said Granny. "Surprise!" cried the wolf. Granny was furious at having her reading interrupted. "Get out of here, you horrid thing!" she cried. But the wolf gobbled her right up. He didn't even bother to chew. "Tasty," he said, rubbing his belly. "So tasty." Just then he heard footsteps on the garden path. "Here comes dessert." And losing no time, he put on Granny's cap and glasses, jumped into bed, and pulled up the covers. "Who is it?" he called in his sweetest Granny voice. "It is I, your little granddaughter," said Red Riding Hood. "The door is unlocked," said the wolf. Red Riding Hood was distressed at seeing her grandmother so changed. "Why, Granny," she said, "what big eyes you have." "The better to see you, my dear," said the wolf. "And Granny, what long arms you have." "The better to hug you, my dear," said the wolf. "And Granny, what big teeth you have." "The better to eat you, my dear," cried the wolf. And he gobbled her right up. "I'm so wicked," he said, "so wicked." But really, he was enormously pleased with himself, and having enjoyed such a heavy meal, he was soon snoring away. A hunter passing by was alarmed by the frightful racket. "That doesn't sound like Granny," he said. so, the brave hunter jumped in the window, killed the sleeping wolf, and cut him open. Out jumped Granny and Red Riding Hood. "We're ever so grateful," said Red Riding Hood. "That wicked wolf won't trouble you again," said the hunter. "It was so dark in there I couldn't read a word," said Granny. Red Riding Hood promised never, ever to speak to another stranger, charming manners or not. And she never did. All right, so now let's talk about the different elements that were in that book. And we've talked about this before in reading. So the elements that were in this fiction fairy tale book were characters, so who was in the story, setting, where the story took place, problem, something that's wrong or that needs to be fixed, and solution, how it gets fixed. So talking about this book, who were the characters? Who were the characters in this book? The characters in this book, we had Red Riding Hood, her mother, Granny, the big bad wolf, and the hunter. Those were the characters. What was the setting? And there can be more than one setting. So the setting was her Red Riding Hood's house, the forest, the deep dark forest, and Granny's house. Those were the settings. What was the problem in this story? Well, the problem in this story was that the wolf gobbled them up. And what was the solution? The hunter came and he cut open the wolf and he freed Red Riding Hood and Granny. So that's how the problem was solved. So those are the elements of our fiction story. We're going to focus on just two today for when we're going to start planning our own fiction stories. So we're going to start today just focusing on the characters and the setting of your own story. So I'm going to show you the graphic organizer that we are going to use, and I'm going to start planning out my own story, and then you guys are going to start planning your own stories. All right, writers. So this is the graphic organizer that we are going to use to start planning our fiction stories. And remember, fiction stories are not real. Just like in Red Riding Hood, nothing that happened in that story was real. There were a lot of elements that you could tell that it was make-believe. There was a talking wolf. They cut the wolf open, and then all of a sudden the Granny and Red Riding Hood popped out. So there were a lot of things in that story that tells you that it's fiction. It's not real, but it's just a fairy tale. So we want to make sure that we remember that. I know we just finished our nonfiction books, but with our fiction books, it can be make-believe. So for your characters, you could do talking animals. You could do people in your life that you know. You could make up a brand new character. So really with characters, it's up to your imagination. So for me, the characters that I'm going to use, you may know these characters. So I'm going to use people that I already know to write my story, but you can use animals or make-believe people. It's totally up to you. But for my characters, I'm going to do Miss Roland, Mrs. D'Annunzio, Mrs. Whalen, and then I'm going to put myself in the story too, because I want to be a part of the story. So if you want yourself to be in the story, you can do that too. Again, the characters are totally up to you. Use your imagination. And remember the setting, where do you want your story to take place? I'm going to have my story take place at our school. So my story is going to take place at St. Michael's School. But again, use your imagination. If you want, your setting could be outer space. It could be in the ocean. It could be on a deserted island. It could be in Candyland. So use your imagination. Remember, this is a fiction story, so you can make up whatever characters and whatever setting you want. And those are the only two we're going to do today. So all I want you to do today is come up with your own characters and your own setting for your fiction book and use your imagination. And then we'll work on problem and solution tomorrow. Great job today, kindergarten. I'm so excited for us to start our fiction stories together. I'm looking forward to hearing about the books that you're reading this week and to our virtual field trip to the San Diego Zoo on Friday. Don't forget to keep practicing your show-off songs. We only have 2 weeks left, or a little less than 2 weeks, before we get to show off to our families. So make sure that you're practicing. I know that you guys are. You did a great job last week. We're gonna do some more practices this week, and I'm looking forward to reading one-on-one with you guys. All right, have a great rest of your day.